Everyone. Today is our 18th session of Manav Vyavhar Darshan English translation reading. We have come a long way, and we have now gone a long way listening to Spencer from Canada, this translation. So Spencer started last week, and it was quite interesting uh, the way that he started, it is the alternative. And therefore, I will first see that what does it mean uh, to actually say that uh, absence of delusion itself is restfulness. And he says that because it is alternative, so let me just think over uh, what does restfulness mean for uh, materialism, and what does restfulness mean for idealism? So the way that I understand is that idealism, definitely it is going inwards, like it is looking inwards. And there it is perhaps making a conclusion that as long as there is a chattering mind, of there is a chatter of thoughts, mutually conflicting thoughts, there can be no restfulness. So for the restfulness to be, the chattering of the mind has to stop. So idealism actually went about in its pursuits to silence this chatter of the mind, right? So all the sadhana vidya, that all the practices of meditation, etc., was for uh, attaining a state when this mind is quiet, okay, and there is no chatter anymore. And the ultimate state of that has been given name but has been given different names. The state of Bodh, state of Nirvana, state of Samadhi, state of Pragya. Uh, there is different traditions have given it different names. But essentially, the restfulness is the state uh, which, according to them, is the state where there is no chattering of the mind. Babaji attained that state, and he said, what do I do with it? Okay, and at that in that state there is no thought, but after coming out of it, says that what do I do with it? Surely there are no there is no thought, and therefore, but what is the purpose of this? What do I do with it? So in fact, the point which he had started off, his questions were actually that of ahead of that state. He did not call this as restfulness. So the restfulness or Vishram is the state which he says is of Samadhan, or the resolution is the state of restfulness, or the end of delusion, or the absence of delusion itself is restfulness. So there is no, so there, that state is full of thoughts, but that is not a thoughts which are conflicting, thoughts which are, but they are resolved thoughts. So that is something that is being said over here. In the second thing about the materialism, there the restfulness is typically because the world itself has been taken as full of conflict and struggle. So we say that we will attain the rest uh, only after we have won all these conflicts. Once we have, excuse me, can you please silent your, yeah. So once we have won all the conflicts, then we will be able to have restfulness. Okay. So like, for example, once uh, I become the richest man, or once I have climbed the highest mountain, or I have um, gotten rid of all my enemies, or I have so much of property, or whatever goals that you have actually goals set for yourself. And this goal of restfulness typically is once you achieve that goal, then the next goal actually comes. So there is no restfulness over there, right? So there is an imagined restfulness that, okay, once I achieve that goal, once I conquer that land, once I achieve that much money, then there would be restfulness. But there is no restfulness achieved. So both idealism and materialism have their own ideas about restfulness, and it remains to be, but they have not been able to actually have the evidence of restfulness in form of tradition. Now, Madhyas Darshan is positioning restfulness in the form of absence of delusion, and it is defining what is delusion and what is absence of delusion. So we will now have Spencer continue. Maybe I would request him to actually give some more context of the last week, especially for those people who could not join last time, so that they have it. And in case you want to have something to add before you start the reading of today's session. Welcome, Spencer.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, Rakeshji. No, actually, it's a very nice summary and great points that you brought. So, yeah, I'm happy to continue today. Once again, I'll just offer my gratitude for Babaji and family and for providing this understanding, as well as everyone here and everyone in my life who's helped me to reach this point. And once again, I'm just a student of this. So nothing which I say is the complete, but just an expression of my own sort of ideas. So I'll just state that right now so that I don't have to preface every single line with, I think, I believe, I'm not sure. I'll say it once at the beginning, and then I'll just go. So yeah, so basically here we are, the chapter, non-delusion itself is restfulness. And since I took on this chapter, I've had to think about it quite a lot. And I scoured the entire Manav Vyavhar Darshan for every reference of restfulness or effortlessness and tried to put everything together. So it's been a good experience for me. I feel like I really found some good flow and enthusiasm with the study. I have not been this sort of, at least intellectually or like reading literature, this studious in a very long time. So it was a very fun experience. And when you're doing on the computer, there's some advantage. Uh, all you have to do is go Command F, and you can find the word, all the references. So I don't have to flip through the pages and highlight and put a sticky note. So with Command F and then search the word, you can just browse all the the literature very quick. So that's definitely a benefit of the computer here. So yeah, what I found is that restfulness, non-delusion is restfulness. So as I mentioned earlier, Babaji does start to talk about effort and rest and effortlessness from the beginning of the book, and it continues until the very end, so it's not just an isolated chapter here. And so human beings, as a summary of what I've read so far, a little bit, is that human beings are in wait of restfulness. And not only is this like human beings are waiting for this, but as I mentioned earlier, entire existence is moving for this. There's effort, motion, and constitution. Constitution finds completeness with Jivan, and effort finds effortlessness in human being as well. So this is what we're after. So what is restfulness in Jivan? Restfulness is basically, yeah, well, first of all, what is effort? Effort, sorry, I'm just hearing a little echo. Maybe it's Rakesh. Maybe you can do the mute.
Oh,
Thank you. So, so human beings are in search of restlessness. So Babaji says that restlessness is twofold. One is intellectual, and one is in the material world. So the intellectual restfulness will be attained from realization, experience of coexistence, which means there's no more delusion, and prosperity is the restlessness in the with the material restfulness with the material world. So what I sort of gathered from this reading is that the restlessness, it seems to me it's like a symptom rather than the problem itself. Like the restlessness is the indicator that something is not complete. So man is in anticipation of happiness, Jivan is an anticipation of happiness. There's a potential that human being can live to. There's a destination which human being needs to reach. There's a greatness, a grandeur where we need to go. And until we've reached there, we will feel restless. So the restlessness is not necessarily the problem there. The restlessness is just indicating the gap of where we are and where we want to be, you know? Like Jivan has certain potential, and until it's living with that full potential, with its full forcefulness, then there's always going to be a little bit of friction, a little bit of effort. One definition of effort, which I really like, I'll just search for it here. One moment. So one definition, which I really like of effort, is the difference, positive or negative, between one's hope and accomplishment. So the difference, positive or negative, between one's hope and accomplishment. So hope is in man, and human being has the hope for happiness. So as long as we have this hope, it's not going away. It's always there. That's our datum, hope for happiness. So it's always, always there, that hope for happiness. The difficulty is we're hoping and we're looking at the body. The hope is just expecting from the body to give us happiness. The body is not capable to give lasting happiness, yet we're sort of demanding, searching for it in the body, in the senses. And so, we keep just expecting that through this experience, through that experience, I will achieve this happiness. But because the body is temporary, it's changing, it doesn't have anything continuous about it, senses are fluctuating, and these experiences just are impermanent, then we will not find that lasting happiness from the body. Yet we're demanding, we're looking for it, we're expecting, we're in hope from the body and the senses. So that gap between what we're hoping for and what is actually we're receiving is effort, it's friction, And so then, the one approach is you just accept it, that we're always going to have this friction, and that's it. It's part of life, up and down, and you just try and maximize the pleasantness that you can get. And this is sort of a materialistic perspective. You do have to accept that there is the down, but you try to maximize the pleasantness that you can get, and so to maximize it, you have to extend and elaborate on all the different types of activities, and whether it's food, whether it's whatever, any type of enjoyment, you want to sort of maximize it. The second approach, which Rakeshji gave some summary in the beginning, is the spiritual approach. So they saw this restlessness and figured that, it should be eliminated, and then we will be satisfied. So with tons of effort, with lots of experimentation, with many generations and so much work, they slowly, slowly, slowly made this hope for happiness silenced, And sorry, 1 second here. Just getting a call. So they slowly made this silenced. Now, just silencing the symptom, silencing the alarm, does not mean you have found the solution. Man is still awaiting for happiness. There is still some potential of Jivan which needs to be fulfilled. And simply by silencing does not mean that you have reached that potential. You've just the suppressed the noise a little bit, you know? And I thought it's not a perfect example, but it did come to my mind is um, where I live here, we're not attached to the city utilities, the water and the waste and everything. We have to manage on our own here. We have the septic system, we have the wells for the water. So we're in a remote area, so we have to manage these things. And in order to make sure that they're running smoothly, we have some alarms. And if something happens, if the water level becomes too high, if the waste level becomes too high, then the alarm is triggered, you know? Whenever I hear that alarm, oh my goodness, right away, my heart starts going. What's the problem? What's happening? It's usually nothing, nothing can be good, you know? Maybe the waste, all the septic, has overflowed. It's becoming too much. So I never like to hear that noise. But it happens, and so whenever that noise happens, I rush to the scene. I want to figure out what's going on. Where's the problem? But the first thing I do is I push the silence on the alarm, and that brings a little bit of relief. I don't have a loud noise now, like giving me extra pressure and stress. So, but just by silencing the alarm doesn't mean that the system is working smoothly, you know? And so I see that as a funny, rough example is that Jivan has a way of working smoothly. And right now we have an alarm going off, which is that restlessness. It means it's not working smoothly. Something's happening. What's going on here, And we need to find out how Jivan can work smoothly. Simply pushing the alarm, the silence button on the alarm does not ensure smooth operation. So, anyways, so so yeah, continuing with where we left off. So we're looking for restfulness. Restfulness is in realization, resolution, and prosperity. This is the goal of human being. This will lead to restfulness. Restfulness is not silence or nothingness. Restfulness is just, it is filled with thoughts, but they are effortless. Um, effortless thinking. Everything should be aligned with the law. So we talked about, okay, so let's just go to where we left off. So I believe we left off on page 99, is that correct? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to start here with page 99. As long as Jivan or human being is deluded, the state of buddhi without enlightenment of Atma has been called ego in the tradition. Delusion itself has no existence. Therefore, it is clear that delusion is merely beliefs that have been accepted out of fear or temptation. These beliefs, delusion, are limited only to the visualization that happens in chitta. Hence, buddhi itself does not become deluded. Buddhi remains silent until it is awakened through study, enlightenment, and realization. Ego and delusion are both indicative of lack of qualification for realization of verity. The enlightenment of truth is the ultimate achievement of study. Thereupon, realization naturally follows. There is no realization in truth without enlightenment of truth, and there is no restfulness without realization in truth. The truth is the insentient and sentient nature saturated in omnipotence. This itself is the perpetual truth in the form of coexistence. Okay, so if I just go back to the first realization here, Babaji says, so buddhi basically is there in all of us. And until it has become aware, until it has become enlightened, without this awareness, it has been called as ego in the tradition. So I believe when he says tradition here, he is referring to the existing traditions, of spiritualism. So this buddhi, which is not aware, has been identified and has been termed as ego. The difference here is that we want buddhi to become aware, not disappear, right? So, or become dissolved. So delusion has no existence. And he says that delusion is merely beliefs that have been accepted out of fear or temptation. So buddhi does not become deluded. Buddhi remains as it is. It has no acceptance for anything other than the reality. Whereas chit, although reluctantly, it does take in beliefs and ignorance and wrong ideas, which are not matching with the reality. So why does it do this? Well, it sort of has to, it's sort of supporting the hope for happiness that man is looking for. So man is in this hope of happiness, it's trying to get it. Then vritti sort of follows along with that, says, okay, if we're going to try and become happy this way, then, this is how we can do it with the body, senses, profit, It's not fully in acceptance of this because it is a higher faculty and it has the capability for justice, order, and truth, but it goes along for the ride with man. And then chitta also develops some imagination, some idea about how we can get this happiness, make some picturing, make some beliefs around who am I, what is life, what is existence, what is happiness, what is relationship, everything, we get some beliefs. But these beliefs, now this is interesting that Babaji says delusion has no existence. And Rakeshji, I would like if you could just add in on this, why do you think that Babaji says delusion has no existence? Because on one hand, we do have these beliefs, they are very real to us. You can see that there's deluded plane in existence, but there's countless deluded humans yet. But here he's saying delusion has no existence. Could you maybe just clarify that point?
Yeah, sure. Be happy to. So, so one of the thing that uh, have some.
उस दिन मैं निकलूंगी आंटी थोड़ा सा PhD का
Yeah, I'll just mute. Okay, so one of the thing that is being said here is there are things that exist and there are things that do not exist. Like for example, delusion is there is no reality that you will find in existence by the name delusion. So delusion is actually the state of chit only, chit with incorrect beliefs. So while if you say, what are the things that have existence? Like, for example, material order has existence, plant biological order has existence, animal order has existence, humans have existence. But where does delusion, do you find an entity called delusion which has existence? Like, just like darkness, can we say darkness has existence? Or it is the absence of light that we basically, light has existence. You know that there is uh, some entity which basically shines and that has existence. But is there a for entity called darkness, which we can actually say that this is its form, this is its, these are its attributes. You don't find an entity called darkness. It doesn't have an existence. Darkness is the condition or the situation, which is the absence of light. So one of the things that darshan actually says is to live with the realities that have the existence. The delusion is merely the state of chit as mere beliefs, which have been accepted out of fear and or temptation. Something that you were describing, that man was looking in the hope of happiness. It was looking for uh, happiness in the sensory gratification. And that is how Vritti also started acting, and Chit also followed suit. For that is the condition of these three, and that state is has been called as delusion. But as such, it is not a no entity which we can say is called delusion in existence.
Great, thank you. So, yes. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that. So there you go. So delusion is only existing in chitta as these beliefs. And later Babaji in the chapter says human beings are united in right and fragmented in wrong. And here you can see that delusion beliefs can be countless. There's so many ways to be wrong. There's so many different beliefs. What is God? What does he look like? Maybe it's she. What does she look like? How is the story? Where does it come from? Many, many ways, many beliefs, countless beliefs. Yet if we're talking about reality, if we're talking about awareness and understanding, that will be common among all of us. So we need to sort of move out of this cycle from body to beliefs and go all the way to awareness. And when we tap into this complete cycle from Atma awareness, Buddhi, all the way to living, then this will be a state of restfulness. So ego and delusion are both indicative of lack of qualification for realization of verity. So as we said, these things are getting in the way, ego in buddhi, delusion in chit, but these are, it shows that as long as we have these, then we will not be able to realize coexistence. And he mentions that enlightenment of truth is the ultimate achievement of study, and realization naturally follows. So the ultimate achievement of study is the enlightenment in buddhi, and realization is the natural consequence which comes after that. And what is the truth? The truth is sentient and insentient nature saturated in omnipotence or coexistence is the ultimate truth. Okay, so continuing on. The absolute satisfaction, ultimate bliss, is realized and achieved through the realization in truth. Satisfaction, bliss and resolution, is realized and achieved through enlightenment of truth. And cohesiveness, resolution, and coexistence is realized and achieved through truthful behavior, humane behavior. Absolute satisfaction or ultimate bliss, when Atma attains realization in coexistence, its eternal effect is referred to as the ultimate bliss. When Atma's potential, ability, and receptivity becomes capable of realization in omnipresence, from that moment, continuity of realization of truth prevails. Coexistence itself is the content in, by, and for realization. Bliss, Anand. The effect of Atma realized in truth on buddhi is inundation, which itself is bliss. Contentment. The effect of Atma realized in truth on chit is contentment or delight. Peace. the effect of Atma realized in truth on vritti is enthusiasm or peace. Happiness, the effect of Atma realized in truth on man is elation or happiness. Cohesiveness in Jivan itself is harmony causing, resolution causing, balance causing, and heavenly, highest happiness for humans. Okay, so that I just read page 100. Let's just go back. So here he says that ultimate bliss is achieved from the realization of truth. So ultimate bliss is the effect of the eternal effect of Atma realization or experiencing coexistence is termed as ultimate bliss here. So, and then we're saying satisfaction is when this bliss comes to buddhi and buddhi becomes enlightened or buddhi becomes aware of this truth. This is called as satisfaction. And finally, he says cohesiveness, resolution, and coexistence is realized and achieved through truthful behavior, humane behavior. So this cohesiveness word in Hindi is ek sutra. It was very puzzling for me when I first read this. I just wasn't really sure what he's talking about here. Where's cohesiveness? I looked in Paribhasha. I could not find so much about it, ek sutra. So ek sutra, in my understanding, is like saying one thread or one sutra, you know. And in English, we don't have a equivalent word. You could kind of say common thread, but I don't think it's the same because, but so ek sutra, one thread. So anyways, this was puzzling for me and I'm not saying it has been understood, but when I looked at the entire context of what this chapter and what the coming paragraphs are talking about, I think I got some idea. Which I will share coming up. So basically, when this coexistence is realized, Babaji is just describing the effect of this realization, the effect of this experience of coexistence through jivan. So it comes through buddhi, it comes through chit, it comes through vritti, it goes through man, and this has been called happiness, peace, contentment, and bliss. This effect, and Atma has a mediative effect. Atma is madhyast. And this is when jivan becomes fully active in this way, this state is resolution, this state is restfulness. Finally, man, who's been looking for happiness all along, searching for happiness in the material world, not able to find it, feeling restless. Finally, man attains that happiness, which it was looking for all along, with realization in Atma, in coexistence. So, and this is finally where restfulness is achieved, because as I mentioned, the definition of restfulness, it's the difference between one's hope and the accomplishment. And finally, with realization, one has been hoping for happiness, and finally, it's been accomplished. So finally, there is restfulness. So that is a big accomplishment there. So let's continue. So I'll just read the last point on page 100 just to keep the flow. Cohesiveness. Looks like maybe we have different pages. I'm reading anyways, you're able to find it. So
Yeah, if you could actually read from the screen, because there is a little bit of change in the
difference.
words. Yeah,
Oh,
that
a
would
little bit
be
of change in the words. I see. I have
yeah,
saved an older version,
yeah.
a little bit. So I'm going from that. So just give me one moment. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cohesiveness in Jivan itself is harmony causing, resolution causing. Sorry, yes, we're on the same document. Okay. Resolution causing, balance causing, and heavenly, highest happiness for humans. Balance, santulan. Balance is to not allow excess to happen in ethical and behavioral aspects. The behavior based on justice, dharma, and truth is the formula for cohesiveness. So again, I had a very hard time to try and figure out cohesiveness, and I could not really find in the definitions. And so what I'm about to share is really just maybe not so much rooted here, but I would like to share, and I can be corrected afterwards. But it's sort of made sense for me in this state. So when we're talking about cohesiveness or ex sutra, and the way Babaji keeps describing it, when I see what we're trying to accomplish here, when I see existence and where it's trying to reach, basically we want cohesiveness, we want one thread, we want one continuous chain, all the way from coexistence in realization, Atma, and we want that chain, we want that unbrokenness, that single thread. Coexistence comes into buddhi as awareness, it goes into chit as intuition, it goes into vritti, it goes into man as happiness, it goes into behavior as justice in behavior, it goes into the family as resolution and prosperity in the family, it goes into society as culture, civilization, law, systems, it goes into entire existence as coexistence, universal orderliness. So the one thread that we're really looking for and we're trying to realize is from realization of coexistence in Atma through Jivan into human living, into evidence, into undivided society and family and beyond and universal orderliness. So Jivan and human, that coexistence to coexistence, coexistence of realization and coexistence of evidence of the entire existence. So this was my sort of best guess, you could call it, is that when we're saying ex sutra is this single thread that links all the way from realization to undivided society, and the thread is currently broken in Jivan. It's not able to reach to this realization. So we need to make the knot and go all the way to the final destination. It's broken because we have delusion. It's broken because we have these incorrect beliefs about the reality. Therefore, our living, instead of evidencing coexistence, we're evidencing disorder, we're evidencing disharmony. And so this is the cohesiveness, I believe. Rakesh, would you
Yes.
mind to share something about cohesiveness?
Yeah, this was wonderful. Actually, this is the way I have understood it as well. That actually, indeed, the only broken link in this Ek Sutrita is what we have as incorrect beliefs, right? Rest, everything is in the state of order, and whatever disorder that we have created is also because of the wrong beliefs. So once the delusion is dispelled, we actually make corrections in the systems that we have made and the culture and the society and all the rest of it. And whatever the states of conflicts and exploitation that we have actually inflicted on the environment, we actually make the corrections because it doesn't go deeper in terms of the root cause, because if the root cause is over here, once it gets to the level of awareness, as you call it, uh, then it is about the understanding, and that actually shines through. So once that once it is the understanding is actually shines through, the delusion gets dispelled and our action basically become aligned. So all the time Babaji actually keeps saying that delusion is, in essence, it is about uh, believing body to be Jivan. Okay. So our we have Jivan has identified itself with the body. That is the reason for delusion. So all the study, all the abhyas that we are doing is to actually dispel this delusion, that by actually identifying Jivan with Jivan and body, so that body becomes get its rightful place. Once this is the crux of Jivan Vidya, if you were to call that. And Ek Sutrita is the word that Babaji has used a lot of times, right? And you have described this quite well. Yeah. Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks for adding there. So, okay, so the cohesiveness, then we are on to balance. Balance is to not allow excess happen in ethical and behavioral aspects. Again, this one kind of threw me off. I could not see how it was fitting with the rest of the flow. And again, my best sort of estimation here is that again, if we're looking for exutrata, if we're looking for this cohesiveness, the ethical aspect is more in the intellect. It's more an understanding of the laws of what will ensure humanness and the continuity of humanness and its protection. And behavior is obviously in human to human living, and the behavior should be ethical according to your understanding of the laws. And so this balance is to not allow these things to any excesses to happen. So when that unity, when that cohesiveness is there in in ethics and in behavior, then this is balance, basically. And so behavior based on justice, dharma, and truth is the formula for cohesiveness. So again, you have truth, you have coexistence. In realization, you have dharma-based thoughts, and you have justice in your behavior. And this is the formula for that unity, for that single thread. So next point here, the behavior devoid of wrongfully owned wealth, adultery, and inflicting pain on others, and the dedication towards rightful ownership of wealth, marital faithfulness, and kindness in work and behavior is the entirety of just behavior. The food, lifestyle, and behavior, physical, verbal, and mental, that is devoid of hoarding, malice, conceit, ignorance, fear, and is with non-accumulation, affection, simplicity, learning, and fearlessness, only have cohesiveness of justice, dharma, and truth. Else there is misalignment of justice, dharma, and truth. The individualism and communalism is due to delusion. The behavior characterized by fortitude, courage, and generosity itself is the cohesiveness of justice, dharma, and truth. Cohesiveness means being helpful and complementary for mutual awakening. Okay, so here he says the behavior devoid of wrongfully owned wealth, adultery, inflicting pain, and dedication towards rightful ownership of wealth, marital faithfulness, kindness, work behavior. This is the entirety of just behavior. So these three have also been called as character, what it means to have righteous character. I found it very interesting that he's saying this is the summary of just behavior, that basically And then I looked into it more, and basically, if we do not have these, if we're living with others' wealth, others' husband, wife, adultery, and inflicting pain on others, not kind work and behavior, these are the crimes that exist in the society. And this is, and its opposite would be a crimeless society, or a society free from fear. Actually, the biggest fear that we have is the fear of inhumanness, the fear that others will do something to me, that someone is going to take my wealth, that there's not good relationships and marriage relationship, or that someone will be unkind or cruel. So this breeds lots of fear and in between human beings. So basically, the entirety of just behavior is summarized in 3 principles, which I just find amazing. That how many books and literature are written about how to have good relationships, and all the problems that we have in the society, and what is the solution, and so many things. And here it's just been written in 3 principles, and this is the completeness of just behavior. So later on in the book, Babaji mentions that these 3 is lead to like heavenliness behavior, or heavenly behavior. So basically, we need nothing more and nothing less. Also, this is the completeness of behavior is in these 3 principles. So next, the food lifestyle behavior that is devoid of hoarding, malice, conceit, ignorance, fear, and is with non-accumulation, affection, simplicity, learning. So, oops, sorry, it's just refreshing for me here. I have to go back to the page. Yes, okay. So, the previous ones, the in behavior, which causes to just behavior, those can be called as those are like, how do I say? That leads, those are, I believe, like the laws of humane behavior, like how to have justice in behavior. And these 5, which he mentions, are the intellectual laws. So how to have heavenliness of thought, or how to have restfulness of thought. So remember that in order to attain realization, in order to attain awareness, we need to understand the laws. So the laws of just behavior are those 3, and the laws of intellectual laws are these 5. So without going into too much detail about each individual laws, at each individual point, is I believe that will be covered elsewhere. Hoarding is related to like attachment to the material world. Malice, Babaji says, is related to attachment towards the body. Conceit is basically an overvaluation of oneself, or believing that one's beliefs and ideas to be correct, is conceit. Ignorance is related to delusion. Ignorance is basically inadequacy of your perception about the reality. So delusion essentially is that you have the incorrect or incomplete ideas about the reality. And fear, which there's 3 fears Babaji mentions: fear of, I believe, fear of animals, fear of natural calamities, natural events, and fear of inhumanness. And as I mentioned above, the fear of inhumanness gets resolved with the above, with character. So the opposite of this is non-accumulation, or earning, being prosperous, and earning for spending, earning for participation in coexistence in undivided society. Affection would be the experience of justice, that frictionless state between human beings in their behavior. Simplicity is chit, which is in alignment with the reality, so no longer having ideas which are not aligned, but when all of our imagination becomes aligned with the reality. Learning, wisdom, and science is the opposite of ignorance. So finally, the correct evaluation, the complete understanding of the reality is in Jiban. And fearlessness, which is, again, opposite of fear, once we have a state where we can live with fearlessness together. So this state in the intellect is the cohesiveness of justice, dharma, and truth. So again, we have behavioral laws, we have intellectual laws, and if we want to see that cohesiveness from realization of coexistence to undivided society, then we need to see these intellectual laws as well. And if we have incorrect beliefs, then this will lead to individualism or communalism. Somewhere along the way, we have not seen coexistence, so we become attached to the body, we become attached to our group, and we have not seen the undividedness. So then he talks about the behavior characterized by fortitude, courage, and generosity itself is cohesiveness of justice, dharma, and truth. So these three, fortitude, courage, and generosity, is human conduct, or the swabhao of human being. So how human being participates, how human being becomes useful, how human being ensures the system is with these three: the commitment to live with justice, the commitment to ensure justice for others, for everyone, for the family, and generosity, which is in a family which is resolved and prosperous, being able to utilize your resources, body, mind, wealth, for ensuring justice and orderliness for others as well. So this is the swabhao. This is the ultimate sort of accomplishment for a human being, is to live with these values. And another way to say it is cohesiveness means being helpful and complementary for mutual awakening. So upon having this understanding, upon following the laws for oneself, we're able to be helpful and complementary for others to also live with these natural laws and attain cohesiveness. So continuing on, in light of the above comparative study of cohesiveness based on awakening or decline, humans can be categorized into three states: delusion, discerning, and delusionless. Cohesiveness is successful only by delusionless humans. Therefore, sociality for becoming delusionless is absolutely necessary. Without the balanced study of science and wisdom, along with its supportive systems, there is no cohesiveness to be found in humans. The study of physical and chemical experimentation is referred to as physical science, and the study of sentience is referred to as wisdom. The goal is determined through wisdom, and the direction for achieving the goal is determined through science. So again, cohesiveness is only accomplished by delusionless humans. Thus, we need to become free from delusion, which is what this entire chapter is about, becoming free from delusion. And part of that is a balanced study of science and wisdom and its supportive systems. So basically understanding of intellect. Here Babaji describes what is science and wisdom. Wisdom is the study of intellect, study of purpose, and science is the study of evidence, its implementation in the physical and chemical world. I'm just being mindful of time here. I would like to get to page 107. So we're just on time for when Estelle is going to read her section. That will give us the proper pace. So I'll just keep going here. So the enlightenment of omnipresence can be achieved only through the completeness of the study of sentience. The study of material nature and work practice are necessary for achieving material prosperity, which can be deployed for both utilization and righteous utilization. However, without awakened buddhi, it is not possible to accomplish righteous utilization of production. Therefore, it is imperative for humans to study sentience for the awakening of buddhi. So just in the first point, the enlightenment of omnipresence can be achieved only through completeness of the study of sentience. Just what I found interesting about that is that, in previous traditions, the idea was to attain realization of the omnipresent reality. And to do that, you basically had to silence the intellect, silence the sentience. But here we're saying if you actually want to truly understand the omnipresent reality, the study of sentience is actually required. And that's through the study of sentience, only then the understanding of omnipresent reality is achieved. So that I found interesting. And then the second point here, where he's talking about prosperity, utilization, righteous utilization, basically saying that we can produce, we can make many things, which we're obviously expert at doing right now. That part we have definitely realized, human being is one who materializes his ideas and anticipates healthiness of the mind. The materialization of ideas, we've done quite a lot. But without the happiness of the mind, without awakening of buddhi, it's messy. We can materialize many things, but it doesn't necessarily lead to a good place. And the reason is we cannot even use whatever we're producing properly. We don't know how to use things. Understanding, first of all, with awareness, we can actually understand what we need. And the reason is because we're happy, we understand the system, and we understand what the body needs, and so we can do production in that way. Otherwise, we're unhappy, we're making things to try and be happy, we're using it for the body, we're still not happy. So it's not complete. So really, for production and prosperity, awareness is absolutely necessary. With awareness, we understand ourselves, we understand existence, we understand what we need, and we understand how we can produce what we need in a way which is in harmony with the environment. So I think this is a good point, that we definitely need awareness, or else right use and right use is not even possible there. Continuing on, at the core of study, the study of insentient and sentient aspects of nature is necessary. At the core of insentient and sentient aspects, the study of development and decline is necessary. At the core of development and decline, the study of effort, motion, and result is necessary. At the core of effort, motion, and result, the study of culmination of result as immortality, culmination of effort as restfulness, and culmination of motion as final destination is necessary. At the core of completeness of effort, motion, result is the study of a unit's essentiality is necessary. At the core of a unit's essentiality is the study of the Jivan unit with restfulness is necessary. That has realization in omnipotence in the form of uniformly inherent energy. Okay, so whenever Babaji has these sort of circular or one leads to the next, these are kind of like I feel like it's the final exam, you know? You get all the points, you understand all the points, and then here's your final exam. He just crams it all into one, and you're supposed to make the connection and follow it along. So I find these to be quite tricky. But I'll try to elaborate on these points here the best I've understood. So at the core of study is of sentient and insentient aspects of nature is necessary. So what are we going to study? Well, we're going to study the existence. And what is there in the existence? There's insentient and there's sentient nature. So this we definitely have to study. So at the core of insentient and sentient aspects, the study of development and decline is necessary. So when you look at this sentient and insentient material and conscious nature, what you will find is that there is actually a directionality to it. There's a definite direction from ultimate regression to ultimate progression, A to B. And so right away you get sort of a framework for understanding it. You can go this way or that way, towards development or towards decline. So it definitely makes it a lot easier for understanding. It's not just going off in many directions randomly. It's two directions basically, which is good. So at the core of development and decline, the study of effort, motion, and result is necessary. Okay, so if we're looking at this development and decline, we have two directions which we can go. What is the basic mechanism, the basic principle of motion, the basic principle of this insentient sentient nature? How does it go towards development? How does it go towards decline? Well, that can be summarized by understanding effort, motion, and result. So these three make up basically the base initiative. Okay, so effort to achieve something, in this case, effortlessness, motion to achieve the destination of motion, I believe undivided society, and result or constitution is the immortality or the completeness of result, which is Jivan. So we need to study this. This is the basic principle for development and decline. At the core of this is the study of the culmination of result as immortality, effort as restfulness, and motion as final destination. So as I mentioned, when you understand these principles, you want to understand where are they going? What is the destination of these things? And that has been described. At the core of completeness of effort, motion, and result is the study of a unit's essentiality. This one threw me off a little bit. I look at the Hindi word ikaitva, I believe it is. So unitness, basically, or unit's essentiality. So what I gathered is that you have effort, motion, constitution of units. Basically, it's unit which is putting effort, motion, and constitution. It's not the omnipresent, it's the unit which is putting this effort, motion, constitution. So even if you look more subtle than this effort, motion, constitution, there is something even more subtle, which is the unit's essence. which is the unit's essence, which I suppose is its yeah. I'm not sure about that one, to be honest. But moving ahead, if you want to see what is the most developed unit in nature, the most developed unit would be Jivan with restfulness. And it is obviously in the omnipotence. So basically, when I go from top to bottom of this paragraph, we're talking about study, we're talking about understanding the existence, we're talking about understanding nature, saturated in omnipotence, we're talking about understanding the sentient and insentient. And to understand this, we understand we understand there's direction, we understand there's a principle, there's a movement, there's a destination, and that final destination is Jivan unit with restfulness. So it kind of reminds me, later on in the book, Babaji also describes his process of study upon attaining the state of samadhi and then further going through sanyam. And then he took, I believe it was many years, I believe it's like 5 years, I'm not sure, to actually study the realities. And in this process, he describes seeing the ultimate regression of nature, which is the atom or smaller than the atom, all the way up to the ultimate progression, where Jivan with restfulness is there. So it's kind of how I've mapped out this paragraph here.
So you have cleared your final exam with flying colors. I would be quite impressed. And so I think the point about the essentiality, I was also struggling a bit. But saying, but your and my thinking is also hovers around where you are saying that when we are looking at a unit, we are seeing it's. I mean, the whole sutra is like peeling off the layers of an onion that you are actually trying to get to the bottom of things. So we started off saying that, okay, for doing the study, we will study the sentient and insentient nature. And coming to the point when we are seeing that what does it mean to actually uh, what is the ness of the unit? What is the unitness, or what is the essentiality of a unit? Right. So that is where it comes that yes, it is the dharma that is the essentiality of the unit. Ikaitva. That is the dharma of the unit, that a unit cannot be annihilated, right? So unit is in coexistence with the omnipresence. So that is actually is the final realization point, that a unit is secure and it is actually uh, and you see that all the manifestations are lined up to this core realization of unitness. Yeah. So very well done.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for clarifying that. That makes sense. That ultimately the unitness is that it cannot be created nor destroyed. That its existence is secure. Very, very, very good. Okay, so continuing on. So infinite units are active while being inspired by the omnipresent reality, and humans are thirsty for realization while being inspired by the omnipresent reality. It is due to the lack of qualification for realization that humans are effortful in developing the potential ability and receptivity for it. There is no restfulness for humans in the absence of realization in knowledge. Human awakening is inevitable because frustration of effort itself is their yearning for restfulness. So again, human being is one entity in this existence, coexistence. We're saturated in this omnipresent reality, which is inspiring human beings to attain knowledge, and that it's saying it's inevitable because until we have attained knowledge, we will experience this frustration or this friction. So as I mentioned in the beginning, it's kind of a signal or a symptom that we have not attained our full potential. We have not attained our full potential is to be the seer of existence, to have knowledge. And until we've attained that, there will always be friction. There will always be restlessness. So, you know, when you see it this way, at least for me, this restlessness is kind of a good thing. You know, it's what allows human to keep exploring, to keep discovering, um, to keep trying to understand. It's the signal that we're not quite there yet. So
It's the alarm.
the alarm, exactly. Yeah. The activity, process, procedure, and accomplishment of occupation, experimentation, behavior, utilization, and righteous utilization primarily depends upon study of wisdom aligned with science. To me, this reminds me of the previous realization where Babaji says that in order to have use and right use, enlightenment of buddhi or awareness is absolutely necessary. So this one kind of reminds me of that if we want to have accomplishment or of our occupation, and we want to utilize and righteously utilize the fruit of that work, then we need awareness in order for that to be complete. Otherwise, we're just don't have the full picture, basically. We're doing production without the complete picture of human being, which will lead to incomplete results also. So realization, evidence, and enlightenment are communicated through the nervous system, and this happens only in the human tradition. So this I found very interesting, that we're talking about that this realization is communicated through the nervous system, through the body, and this happens only in human tradition. So I think it just shows the multi-dimensional aspect of knowledge. Knowledge is not something just isolated to the intellect, but knowledge is something which comes into the world. Knowledge comes into human life, and everything that you do is an expression of that knowledge. Every muscle in the body, every facial expression, every word, every communication, every action is an expression of this knowledge. So, you know, as long as, you know, in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of advancements in artificial intelligence and AI. And personally, I use ChatGPT to do some translation for me, and I'll have it do a translation. Then I'll say, what is the Hindi word that it used? It'll tell me the Hindi word. Then I'll say, can you break down this Hindi word? And then it'll break it down into ikaitva, unitness. And then I'll say, where does this come from? And then I'll ask it, you know, how is this used in the spiritual tradition? And it gives me lots and lots and lots of information, you know, it really does. And there's always been this question, you know, as this AI has been advancing, you know, can it understand? Can it have understanding, or will it be able to, you know, where's the speciality of human being in all of this? You know, we're losing our power. It looks like they're saying that, you know, AI can give any answer, and it's the combination of all the information of entire human tradition. Then where is human being in all of this? You know, you sort of lose your power. But these words, this logic, is just a very small fraction of the expression of knowledge. You know, even ChatGPT can take all of Babaji's words and say it word for word. I mean, we're reading the words of Babaji, you know, through this document, but it still is not it's only one element of knowledge. The complete knowledge is really communicated through human being, through the nervous system, he is saying. So, so I think it's just good to keep in mind that knowledge is not limited to just words. It's not limited to just information, but that knowledge is really something which is manifest. And I think ultimately, as we continue to read, and what I've understood in this process is that it really is the human being. We require a human being in order to attain knowledge as well. The literature is just simply not enough. We need that full expression to absorb what it is to live with humanness, And so yeah, I just think it's just very important to see that knowledge is very grand and needs evidence in the tradition. So awakened humans and their evidence through living accomplishes the humane tradition. The mutual relationship of effort, motion, and result can be observed as follows. The outcome of motion and result is effort. The outcome of effort and motion is the result, and the outcome of result and effort is motion. It has been explained earlier that a developed unit has the ability to recognize and evaluate units that are less developed or equally developed. This understanding allows us to observe that a common unit of knowledge order makes utilization, righteous utilization, and even misutilization due to delusion of many units of the animal order. Similarly, a common unit of the animal order is complementary to many units of the biological order, and a common unit of the biological order is complementary to many units of the material order. This principle is also apparent on the basis of potential ability and receptivity attained in the awakening progression. One delusionless unit in the knowledge order proves to be worthy of emulation and capable of inspiring numerous delusional and discerning humans towards resolution. Okay, again, so just being aware of the time here, I'm just going to try and pick up the pace a tiny bit. Just I want to complete 2 more pages and maybe leave at least 2 minutes for summarizing. So here Babaji's talking about, again, human tradition. So knowledge needs to come into the human tradition. Its knowledge is evidenced by human being. And saying that one awakened human has the ability to inspire numerous delusional humans or discerning humans towards resolution. So, and this is the complementariness of an awakened human being. Just as plant makes use of matter and animal of plant and human of animal, matter, plant, awakened human also is able to be useful and complementary for unawakened human and inspire for awakening. So on to the next page here. The entire content of study is the material order has innateness of existence and balance in its existent state. The biological order has innateness of existence and growth. The balance in its existent state. The animal order has innateness of existence, growth, and hope of living with indulgence tendencies and balance in its existent state. And the knowledge order has innateness of existence, growth, and the hope of living with awakening and balance in its existent state in the form of evidencing, resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. The fundamental principle of awakening is that humans are united in the right, and the root cause of conflicts is being divided in the wrong. If the above principle is fully internalized, then the adequate environment for sociality in the world would emerge on its own. The evidence of complete happiness, absence of delusion in humans is intellectual resolution and material prosperity. So just I want to point out again the fundamental principle of awakening is that humans are united in the right and the root cause of conflicts is being divided in the wrong. So this principle, you can take it to many different levels, in all ways it applies. In this specific context, when we're talking about restfulness and delusion, as I mentioned earlier, there's many ways to be wrong. There's many different beliefs that we can have about the world. There's many different ways that we can be individualistic. I mean, there's as many people, there's that many ways to be wrong, because you're all living according to what feels good for me. If you're going for what feels good to me, then there's 8 billion different answers, you know? But if we're looking at what is right, then we're talking about something else. We're talking about the laws of existence. We're talking about realization of coexistence. So realization of coexistence, awareness of coexistence, awareness of the truth is one for all human beings. But expectation of happiness from the body and the beliefs that are derived from that, there's 8 billion different perspectives there. So thus emphasizing the need for, moving from body-centric to justice, orderliness, and coexistence. And if we do this, then social harmony, or the environment of sociality, would emerge on its own. We can see that there is something which can unify all of us. And this is what we need to aim for. So the evidence of complete happiness. So intellectual resolution, material prosperity, that links into the very beginning of the chapter. Babaji is saying that those are the two dimensions of restfulness, resolution, and prosperity. Material prosperity is accomplished only by adhering to the policy of more production than the needs. Awakening is evidenced only by adhering to the conduct of righteous utilization, otherwise decline is inevitable. Behavioral harmony, sociality, and a system for humanness-based study are essential for intellectual resolution. Behavioral harmony, conduct based on the policy aligned with justice. So what I've understood from this point, behavioral harmony, sociality, and a system for humanness-based study are essential for intellectual resolution, is that one, we need other human beings. As Babaji mentioned earlier, an awakened human being alone can inspire many unawakened human beings. So when there's a system of humanness, when there's a culture of humanness, then this allows us to move towards intellectual resolution. And when we have intellectual resolution, then naturally we will create social harmony, behavioral harmony. So there's a relationship and a feedback between our environment, our external environment, you could say, and our internal resolution. And these are mutually complementary and needed for one another. And okay. Okay, I think I'll stop here. Estelle can carry on from here when we continue, or I'll step in for one last page next session.
Yes,
but
feel comfortable. You would like to listen to you more. If it is required, you take one more session. So please be at ease.
Okay, yeah, if I take the entire section and divide it into the number of pages, it would just be completing this page to stay on track, but one page is very little, so I think it's good here.
Okay, good. So this was wonderful, actually. And I totally enjoyed, I guess, all the people who are watching here and or even later on, they will actually find your session to be very very insightful and calming in some ways to actually uh, quite aligned with the direction this chapter actually is showing towards restfulness. So I think, uh, I mean, quite pleased with listening to you, and in some ways felt that uh, whatever we were trying to actually convey is getting across. Yeah, I think what you are bringing to the table is not just by reading this, you are actually have your own homework before that. So we are actually benefiting from that. So wonderful work indeed. So I'll now open the floor for any questions for you, Spencer. So anybody wants to say anything? That those who are present. Everybody is resting.
May I
Sanjeev,
yeah. So great, Spencer. It's always a pleasure hearing you. And today's session was exceptionally good. One curiosity I had, like in India, when we grow up, these words, man, vritti, chit, buddhi, atma, we all hear them in the process of growing up in our culture. Whether we understand them or not is a separate question. Honestly, we don't understand, but we hear the words. And for you, I'm sure these words themselves were very new in the initial stages. So, how easy or difficult it was to pick up and understand the realities which these words are indicating. Because the way you explained in the beginning of today's sessions, your explanation and understanding was very precise. So, if you can just share, your initial journey towards this understanding.
Yeah. No, like that's a good question. Well, I think the translation of the words, like man for mind, vritti something thoughts, and chit like imagination. I think it's pretty good word, like pretty good translation, to be honest. It gives these words are in English, and although they're extremely vague in the way that we use them today, like extremely vague, you can use mind in 100 different ways, and like at least it gives a little idea that there's some that there can be some different abilities or different activities of the imagination, but ultimately what the way it's used in the tradition, I don't think gives any insight into what I've understood from reading what Babaji has to say, and whatever understanding I have from it is obviously from the help of so many others, and then also just the process of reading this. And I think Babaji himself does I mean, of course he does, but it's a fantastic job that he does to really describe and differentiate and see the relationship between the two. And I feel like actually I began to understand it more when I just go according to his definition and forget about whatever other way the word has been used in the past, just forget about that and just see what is being said. Okay, this is man. Okay, this is vritti. And with that, I feel like it's easier to actually to get it. And then which words you choose to use, I guess, can vary. You can use man, vritti, chit, but I think the words that have been chosen, they exist in English. They point you in the direction of some sort of intellectual thing, and then you go to the definitions and you get the final thing, I guess.
Great. Thank you.
Very nice. Shilpa Didi, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Namaste Sabiko. I just wanted to congratulate Spencer. Like, it's really wonderful how you presented. I mean, there's so much of depth, so much of clarity, and you make it sound very simple also the way you explain it. So, really good. And I really liked how you took, the chat GPT and all. So, I mean, the whole world is grappling with this question, of knowledge, wisdom, and the human, where we come in it. So, very well answered. And yeah, very well done, Spencer. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Shilpa Didi, and for everyone here because I have to say this session really sort of kicked me into motion a little bit. I engaged in the reading process in a way I haven't done in a very long time. So thanks to all of you thanks to Rakesh for organizing and all of you for participating in this, because it really kicked me into motion in a different way, I have to admit.
Very nice. Actually, I got some nice inputs also for improvement. Like, for example, you were using the word friction for kshob, right? Instead of frustration. I think friction is a better word. So I'll have a look into that and discuss with Sanjeev Bhaiya and others for that. You were also using the word awareness, so we will actually see where we can use it. Right. So perhaps Sajanta is the place where it maps well. So we will actually think over that. Yeah. So it gave me these 2-3 good inputs for looking at that. Uh, so looking forward to Esther was just peeping through the thing just now. So so looking forward to seeing you in the next session. Uh, Thank you very much, everybody. We close today's session then. Yeah.
Yeah, namaste. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste. Good night.